anything could be possibly wrong. A little bit of Bill Withers in the morning time. Good morning to you, Grenada, Kupini, Martinique. It's about 25 minutes on to the hour of 7 o'clock. Wake up. It's a wonderful Friday, fantastic Friday morning. I'm Joseph Cadore, and welcome to the Sound of Classic and Classic Radio, that is, and GBN Television in the morning time. Another really great day, and I hope that as you rise from your night's slumber, that you wake up invigorated with a spirit that says, it is my day. I am going to be the best that I can. I'm going to achieve. I'm going to push beyond my boundaries and be the best version of myself. Good morning to you wherever you are, those of you here at home, across the region, and in other parts of the diaspora. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to you, depending on where you are listening from. And indeed, it's a pleasure being here with you. Another great day this Friday morning. When I left home, I'm not sure what the outside looks like now, but I know in some parts it's a bit windy. It was a bit windy when I was getting in here just around 5:30, and I was like, whoa, that's the sort of wind. And I look over the Birch Grove area and the Hills Vendham area, and I'm like, wow, it looks like rain. Well, I'm not sure necessarily what's happening with you, because when you're in this little bunker, you have no idea what's happening outside. So you'll have to tell me what's happening on the outside for now. But what I do know, though, that it doesn't matter whether it's rain, wind or sun that we're going to get later on, it is going to be a lovely day, because we've determined and resolved within ourselves that that's the way it is going to be, and we'll have it no other way. Yep, that's exactly our plan. We're going to kickstart things today as we look at the word of the day for today, the 22nd day of the month of October. And for today, the word of the day is appreciation. Appreciation. And there are words that we know, and if you look at the week, we've been looking at attitude, being grateful. Today we look at appreciation, and appreciation, it's a noun, and it is spelled APPRECIATION. Appreciation. And appreciation is a feeling of being grateful for something, an ability to understand the worth, quality, or importance of something, an ability to recognize the value, a full awareness of understanding of something. And that's what appreciation is. You've been so generous, and I did like to show my appreciation by cooking a meal for you. Oh, okay, that's going to happen today? Okay. We did like to present you with a gift in appreciation of your hard work. So this is an appreciation to show, of course, that you're grateful for what someone has done for you. So, appreciation, the word for the day, which is a noun, and again it is spelled APPRECIATION. Appreciation, the word of the day. What are you considering today that is worth appreciating? The fact that you are alive and well. Not very often we consider it, we just assume that we have a right to coexist with everybody else, and not realizing that because of a greater divine power that we are still here, and for that we need to show appreciation and give thanks on a Friday morning. The word of the day, appreciation. So we've gone through the word of the day, and we're just going to look now at some thoughts. I have two thoughts of the day for you. Now, this is an interesting one. As you appreciate, there's sometimes you can't always be nice in appreciating things. Truly. So you can't always be nice. The thought of the day, you can't always be nice. That's how people take advantage of you. Sometimes you have to set boundaries. And setting boundaries, it says, you can't always be nice. That's how people take advantage of you. Sometimes you have to set boundaries. And boundaries are not necessarily intended to keep people out. It's to keep you safe. Yeah, that's just a nice way of looking at it. To keep yourself safe. Set up boundaries. It allows for you to build your standards, define who you are. And what it does, it preserves your sense of oneness, because you determine what you want. Today, determine your boundaries that you set so that you can shield yourself from the rigors and the trauma of life, and sometimes the way people literally intrude on your little inner sanctuary. So that's one of the thoughts for today. One of the things we have to give a show appreciation for, though, and while we're at it, we by being appreciative, it's a simple way of just saying thank you. It's not rocket science. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. Thank you expresses gratitude, humility, and understanding. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. I say, and you have to learn to say it a lot. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, gratitude that we're still alive, we're still here, 38 years on. We're being grateful. We're showing gratitude that we survive those 38 years. There are those that did not survive 38 years ago. But we who survived, we're still here. And for that, we understand that it's possible because we have not fulfilled our divine purpose here as yet. And for that, we are being grateful. We also going to be grateful because we have managed to do a few things well, and that of our COVID numbers, our COVID numbers. We've managed to do a pretty good job with managing our COVID numbers. We're just going to run through our COVID dashboard as of the 21st, yesterday, where we had 5 new confirmed cases, giving us total active cases of 132. So we see we're going down in numbers. Number of new deaths, just 1. Our cumulative deaths total is 194, and certainly that we're happy that we're getting this thing under control. But while we do that, though, I just want people not to throw caution to the wind, but appreciate the value and virtues of the sacrifices persons have made, our health officials, our frontline workers, to ensure that we get our numbers down. So 5 new cases, and we show appreciation by continuing to wear our mask. We continue to do that, sanitize, and exercise, of course, good judgment in social distancing, covering our cough and our sneeze, and following all of the COVID-19 protocols. That's a nice, simple way just to say thank you and then appreciate to the health officials, law enforcement, frontline workers, the supermarket clerks, whoever they are, for what they have done for us over the last year. We're getting ready to get ready for the morning edition. But before I do that, though, I want to say to folks just a little word of caution to you. For those of you who go walking in the morning, and it is excellent, you get the fresh breeze, the fresh air getting through your system. But I've noticed a lot of you folks that you are walking in the morning, and while that is good, outside it's a bit dark, and you competing for sight and space with oncoming traffic, little limited as it is. Maybe it might be a good idea, and some people are literally opting to wear black. And I know you're probably thinking, wear something black, traps heat, gets me sweating. But you're wearing dark, you're wearing something dark, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, it makes it difficult to see you. So you probably may want to get maybe a reflective vest. They also have reflective wristbands, different elements that you can wear, stick-on strips, whatever it is you wear, that makes it easier for oncoming traffic. Everyone, I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that person, until you're literally almost up on them, and you're probably thinking, okay, wow. Just a word of caution, just so at least you become conscious of it. We're getting ready for the morning edition for today, the 22nd day of October. For those of you in radio, our segment of news comes up in just a bit. Our folks, that is on television. You get a repeat of some of the top stories from the last evening. And that's coming up right now. Today we have, when I return to you I have 2 wonderful guests this morning. We'll be talking football, and we're looking at, UN Day. UN Day, that is Sunday, and that's the conversation that takes place at the top of the hour. Continue doing what you're doing, you're up and about. Maybe it's a good time just to go out on the back porch, give a nice stretch, inhale, exhale. Allow yourself, lift your diaphragm, and allow yourself to feel that rush of fresh air as it engulfs your spirit. It allows you to breathe easier. Yeah, as you go through a little fresh air in the morning time. The morning edition is next, right here in Classic. And for those of you in radio and television, we send you back to Studio Control.
Let's get tough on breed your larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all the people, 300 for police for them thieving fellas. To all the farmers, don't steal produce from your brother. Then you sell it to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop radio larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report radio larceny, call 300.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Fallage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Ultratech gasoline and diesel, available only at Rubis stations.
Labour Commissioner Cyrus Griffith is expected to give a clear directive on Grenada's first major challenge to mandatory COVID-19 vaccination by an employer in 2 weeks. The opposition parties are St. George's University and protesting workers at the institution represented by the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union.
Labour Commissioner Cyrus Griffith on Wednesday, following a conciliation meeting in an attempt to resolve the dispute between GTAU and SGU involving the university's insistence on mandatory vaccination, has indicated that he will make recommendations in 2 weeks. In a statement issued by TAU on Thursday, the union said the SGU team, led by local corporate lawyer Deacon Mitchell, served notice that if the protesting workers do not meet the demand by SGU to inform of the decision to be vaccinated or not vaccinated by tomorrow, Friday, their services will be terminated by January 2022. The union team, led by President General Andre Lewis, reiterated its position that there must be an exemption for breastfeeding mothers, religious beliefs, and severance payment consistent with the Union Agreement and Employment Act for workers who have stated they have no interest in being vaccinated. Tao said the union pointed out in the meeting that it is improper to ask the workers to make a decision by Friday without knowing the decision of the Labour Commissioner, which will not come before the end of this month. The union statement states that the dispute continues to escalate as the affected workers have received no pay since June 2021, while SGUs claim that workers who refuse to be vaccinated have abandoned their jobs and as a result are not entitled to compensation for their years of service. GBN sought a response from SGU and was told that the outcome of the meeting must first be reviewed before a response can be given to the media. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
And we are now joined live by President General of the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union, Andre Lewis, who is on the phone. Good night, Andre, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good night to you, GBN. Good night to your listeners to your public.
All right, so my first question, Andre, after listening to that story, one of the first things that stood out to me is the employees are being asked to get vaccinated before the commissioner actually shares his decision, his ruling. How can that be? How is that possible?
Well, and that's the big issue. It is not just a matter of getting vaccinated before, and that was the outstanding issue. Remember, we maintain that the workers have a right to determine whether they want to be vaccinated or not. We are against mandatory vaccination. The issue here is, which is significant for the working people of Grenada, is that in the case where the school or any employer has maintained that one must be vaccinated to continue employment, and you give a deadline that if this does not happen, then you will no longer be employed. The issue of severance pay comes into play. The school is saying that they will not be paying any termination allowance, they will not be paying any severance pay. And that is contrary to good industrial practices. This is contrary to the recommendations of the International Labour Organization, which has recommended that in the event that the parties are not able to find a solution to the aspect of being vaccinated, where one has the past company, then the aspect of severance pay or termination allowance must come into play. This is a case where workers have given years of service, some cases 30-something years, 20-something years, and you have brought in a new condition. The condition was never part of the terms and conditions of employment.
So with bringing on this new condition, what sort of precedent do you think this could set for other employees and employers?
Well, the issue is here, if we want to reach mutual settlement, you mandated I take the vaccine, I say I'm not taking the vaccine, they say I cannot come on the compound, I say, okay, look, here what? Let's call it a day. Or you said that, look, if by X date you have not indicated that you will take it, you'll be terminated. This is not true, no fault of mine. And therefore, because of the condition that you have created, you ought to pay me for my years of service. And that's dangerous. Totally dangerous. This is not a case of insisting that you must be vaccinated. But this is beyond that. This is where the worker is saying, look, I will not want to be vaccinated for whatever reason. And the employer saying that, look, I will not allow you to come to my compound. We can keep fighting this battle forever. We can go different levels of the fight. But you have drawn a line as the employer to say that, look, you will no longer be employed. And at the same time, refusing to compensate me for my years of service. That's dangerous, and that's wicked. Right? That's punitive.
So with the deadline,
and that is designed to try to crush the will of the working class.
So with the deadline for the workers to get vaccinated being tomorrow, what does that mean for the workers? Have they started to wane in their stance? Are they still resolute? Are they getting scared? What's the atmosphere like with the unvaccinated workers at SGU?
Well, let me put it this way. The workers are resolute in terms of their belief, and we are currently before the Labour Commissioner. who is expected to make a recommendation within 2 weeks. But obviously, with this mandate put out by the school, the human nature of the worker must be concerned. But they are strong in the resolution, and there's a settlement, you know. For the workers who wish to be paid for the years of service, what the school pays them for the years of service, that's the end of the matter. And it is not a question of affordability. The school could afford to pay that money, whatever it is. So there's a wider issue as it relates to who is an ordinary worker, ordinary Grenadian. To say, look, I am holding on to my belief that I'm not going to take the vaccine. What I know, I'm not yet in a position to do that. And the school is saying, look, you have to go. And the worker is saying, together with the union, well, look, let us reach a settlement, just pay me for my years as well. I call that judge. But the school is insistent that there is no payment that will be made. And I'm saying, contrary to the recommendation and advice given by the International Labour Organization, that is a tripartite arrangement, right? That is made up of government, private sector, and the labour movement. And that's an international body. And even locally here, industrial relations will call for that understanding.
And finally,
this is not a case where the workers are saying, look, take me back to work. Obviously, they want to continue to work. They want to continue to work, but you are saying you have been dismissed. But there are the group of workers that are saying, look, well, pay me for my years of service.
And finally, can SGU, the management at SGU, be asked to postpone this deadline until at least the Labour Commissioner comes with his decision, whether it's by the union or even the Labour Commissioner himself?
But we made that request, and the company was absolutely clear that they will not be waiting on any recommendation from the Labour Commissioner. They will go ahead and institute what they want to institute. So it makes a mockery of our industrial relations practices, and it speaks about the level of disrespect, most likely that is shown to the country and its institutions. But the matter is before the Ministry of Labour, and certainly the recommendation of the Ministry of Labour at the level of the Labour Commission can be an influencing factor for the consideration of the workers. We think that that is a reasonable position from an industrial relations point of view. But that's the position of the school, and we are waiting the recommendation of the Labour Commissioner. But the way school handles the unvaccinated workers in the quest for severance, those who wish to be, those that will be terminated, will be a clear indication of how the school views our country and our institution. And the school has an opportunity to demonstrate that while it argues that it is trying to keep its compound safe, but at the same time it will recognize the right of the worker to not wish to be vaccinated, and where the request is made of the school, or the instructions of the school, or the decision of the school is to terminate, then you pay the workers for the years of service and you call a judge. Even in the case of the workers who have annual vacation leave and has made a request for the annual vacation leave while the matter is outstanding, the school is refusing to grant them the annual vacation leave, contrary to what the Labour Movement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. We have to cut it here short, but of course we will continue to follow this developing story as we await the decision by the Labour Commissioner and to see what else happens with this latest development. So thank you for joining us and appreciate it. Have a good night. All right, moving right along. Giving cruise ship visitors an experience that is COVID-19 compliant and enjoyable is one of the latest initiatives of the Tourism Ministry via the Grenada Tourism Authority. While not mandating vaccination for service providers who interact with these visitors, it is being a requirement to operate. Gerard Joseph has that story.
As the cruise ship season is expected to reopen in November, individuals and entities are now required to be fully vaccinated in order to obtain a license to operate. Tourism Minister Clarice Moles-Cowan still maintains that tourism service providers are not being mandated to be fully vaccinated.
And therefore, we've been working with all of those service providers, all of those who work in the industry, to encourage them, strongly encourage them to get vaccinated.
GBN visited several vendors and taxi operators to get a response on the new vaccination requirements.
For we around here, we don't make up in mind of taking any vaccines, so they have to work with us. Something had to happen. We're selling for tourists more than 30-something years, and they can't just come and tell us take vaccine. They can't make things mandatory to people.
Well, they say it's not mandatory, however, they say for you to get the
well, not mandatory, so I'm not free to take it. So I'm free not to take it because I don't need it. I will drink bush. I'm good.
This is what I do for a living. This is my income from ever since. There's a lot of years I have been doing this. So, I mean, it's my mind to make up if I want to take it or not. And if I don't want to take it, there could be a problem.
Have they had any discussion with you guys?
They didn't have none with us in Esplanade Mall, but they did with Ghanaians, and Ghanaians people said no. So we're not taking vaccine to sell for tourists. We is good. We have sanitizer, we have everything. We have water, we have soap, we have things to use. But we don't need vaccine.
Minister Moles-Cowan says this requirement came as a result of the Chief Medical Officer insisting that visitors disembarking from cruise ships must be fully vaccinated. The Tourism Minister impresses that the cruise ships then requested Grenada to require vendors, taxi operators, and attraction sites employees to be fully vaccinated themselves.
The attraction sites are being inspected by the GTA, and they are going to be certified based on that, because we have to send that information back to the cruise ship to let them know which are the sites that are acceptable sites for the tours. Initially, we are looking at what we call bubble tours, so that the people in small groups, the visitors, will be escorted directly to a site, a location, an attraction, where a booking has been made and preparation has been made to receive these people.
One of the stakeholders tells GBN that they have been vaccinated since May and await the reopening of the cruise industry, however, is concerned with parts of the regulations that restrict profits. From one of the most popular tourist attraction sites in Grenada, I am Gerard Joseph, reporting for GBN News.
Thank you, Gerard. Chairman of the COVID-19 Advisory Committee, Dr. Booth Brafitt, has confirmed his resignation from that position, but the reason for doing so he chooses to keep to himself.
After 1 year and 3 months serving as chairman of the COVID Advisory Committee, Dr. Bert Brafitt called it quits. Although not disclosing his rationale, Brafitt confirmed his resignation to GBN during an exclusive interview Thursday.
I am still serving for another few days as chairperson of the COVID Health Subcommittee. I have resigned as chairperson of the committee. But what I can say is this, that I have viewed COVID as a war that we are fighting. I viewed it, and this goes back from January last year. I recognize that we were in for major issues, albeit I've been surprised and still, although I was aware of the ramifications, I still be surprised by the extent to which these types of pandemics can affect the country. My focus has been totally on trying to help in any way I can.
According to the medical practitioner, the structure of the committee going forward is solely a government's decision. However, he vowed to continue service to the committee as they forge towards the eradication of the coronavirus.
The efforts are going to continue unabated in terms of assisting and encouraging people to go along the right path. For example, getting vaccinated.
He spoke of areas that he believes are of critical importance.
So one of the things that we have to look carefully at is how future variants coming up or future surges in other countries, how we handle that. That is going to be critical as well. If you see a surge in a given country, you are getting lots of people coming in. Even any people coming in from that particular country, we need to set up mechanisms to be sure that we limit these folk from being able to off anyone from coming in and bringing in perhaps new variants.
Christina John, GBN News.
In 10 days, one of the biggest political parties in Grenada will elect its next leader. Two of the men putting themselves up for the post are no stranger to the political arena, while the other is a newcomer.
Former Public Relations Officer of the New National Party, Terry Forrester, has added his hat to the ring and will vie to become the new political leader of the main opposition National Democratic Congress. The party is scheduled to elect a new national executive on October 31st.
Last night I was part of a presentation which the party convened so that interested persons for various offices can, make a presentation to delegates and supporters. And I may add, this is something very, very new. I have never experienced this in the many years I served with the NNP, and this is democracy at its best, giving an opportunity to the party support base, to the leadership, to delegates, to probe and question interested persons in high-level positions like political leader, deputy, etc.
Forrester, who publicly disassociated himself from the ruling NNP in 2017, joins corporate lawyer Deacon Mitchell and businessman Philip Telesford as contenders for the top post.
It's 38 years to the day since the 19th of October 1983. And we need only compare the strides made between, for example, 1979 and 1983, and the strides made by Grenada since 1983 to recognize that we are at a crossroad and that we need to pivot Grenada in a direction that enables the sustained and wholesome development of our citizens. And therefore, I join the National Democratic Congress as the National Democratic Congress intends to do just that. That is to put the people of Grenada first.
According to reports coming from the party's headquarters, the position of deputy political leader will be contested by acting political leader Adrian Posueda Thomas, current PRO Claudette Joseph, and economist Lennox Andrews. The theme for the NDC convention is, "There is no rebuilding without you and I." There will not be a central location because of the physical distancing requirement in the COVID-19 regulations, but members will be participating and voting via video conferencing in 10 days. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
3 Grenadians and 1 national from Trinidad and Tobago were charged for trafficking 9 kilograms of cocaine discovered in Marquis, St. Andrew in August, and they will return to court on Friday for sentencing.
Lyndon Francis, Raheem Francis, and Rondell Rogers are fishermen of Sabine St. Andrew, and Cordell Douglas, a national of Trinidad and Tobago, were arrested and charged on August 6, 2021, following the discovery of 9 kilograms of cocaine at Marquis St. Andrew. They all pled guilty to their charges of trafficking in a controlled drug, while Douglas pled guilty to his additional charge of entering the state without the consent of an immigration officer. They were remanded to Her Majesty's prison until tomorrow, Friday, when they are scheduled to return to court for sentencing. Yakuba Toussaint, 37 years, a farmer of Riversally, St. Patrick, was subsequently charged for trafficking in a controlled drug and conspiracy to trafficking in a controlled drug in connection with the said seizure. Toussaint was granted bail in the amount of $125,000 with 2 sureties and is scheduled to reappear in court on Friday. In an unrelated matter, Yakuba Toussaint was arrested and charged on Wednesday following the discovery of 3 packages of genetically modified cannabis hidden inside a washing machine and compartment that was imported by Toussaint. He was granted bail in the amount of $20,000 with 1 surety and scheduled to reappear in court on December 7th. Chrislina John, GBN News.
Imagine having the home of your dreams. Imagine investing in that piece of property you can call your own. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've always been thinking about. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union help you take the first step with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Make the move. Get better terms on your mortgage. Use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. There's really no place like home. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Introducing Color by Seasons. 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 Color by Seasons.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get Rubis, get going.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you continue happily on your journey.
Stop. Look. Hand out. Eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross. Then you happily continue on your journey.
This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
We believe this new virus spreads mostly from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when someone who is sick coughs or sneezes. This is similar to how flu and other respiratory illnesses spread. These droplets can land in the mouth or nose of people nearby, or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. Most person-to-person spread happens when people are in close contact. It's also possible that this virus can spread when someone touches a contaminated surface and then touches the mouth, nose, or eyes.
Wait to see my granddaughter.
Greetings everyone. I hope this message meets you and yours in the best of health as we join in encouraging all to act responsibly.
COVID-19 presents the most serious
and deadly challenge any of us will experience in our lifetimes.
We must act now.
We need to keep the Caribbean safe.
We can all help to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Please stay at home.
So Caribbean people, please stay home.
Caribbean people, please stay at home.
Please stay home. It's that simple. This too shall pass, but for now, stay home.
Stay in your yard. Stay home, stay safe.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that
in Grenada. Welcome back in 20 minutes gone past the hour, and welcoming you back to the televised edition of the program this morning. Jumping straight into things, I'm now getting ready to speak with the UN resident coordinator, that is Mr. Didier Trebucq, and we'll be chit-chatting with him. Good morning to you, my dear sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jose. Very fine, and you? How are you?
I am wonderful. It's good to see you up and about, looking all nice and spirited this morning.
Likewise.
Great. We're getting ready for UN Day, which was going to be, the observance is on Sunday. So before we get into the specifics, give us an appreciation of the day itself, its observance, and what is some of the activities that will be held, if ever, around the world in observance of the day.
Sure. No, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, Joseph, to speak with yourself. And with the audience today. Well, first, what I want to say is what means the UN Day on the 24th of October, and we celebrate this because the United Nations was created in the aftermath of the Second World War in October 1945, after the adoption of the UN Charter with the first 51 founding nations. Now we have 193 member states as part of the organization, and Grenada became a member 47 as independent countries 47 years ago. So, and what do we celebrate mostly during this day? It's basically, and as we are in the midst of a global pandemic, we celebrate our founding principles that are even more critical than they have always been. And that's about prosperity and development for all. So that's really about human dignity. That's about protecting human rights. And that's about peace and security to save humanity from war. And with COVID, rising inequalities and poverty as a result of this crisis and the climate emergency, which is so important for the region and the Caribbean, we believe that solidarity is the only way forward. Universal access to COVID vaccine, for example, is one way of exercising solidarity, but the rights and dignity of the people, being more inclusive in the governance. And I hope we can talk about youth, for example, and how to give a voice to youth. But bold climate actions and commitments so that countries like SEEDS, like Grenada, like the Caribbean, do not face such huge impact of this climate emergency. So we need to live up of the expectations and always remind why the UN was founded and why it's important to have a reinvigorated multilateralism. So what basically we do, and we can talk about a bit later, is really about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. That's the Agenda 2030. That's really our blueprint and our commitment for a better world for all, to make sure that no one is left behind. So in a nutshell, this is this type of thing that we celebrate. In Grenada, for example, on Sunday morning, there will be a flag-raising ceremony with the national authorities. We do some tree planting activities. We lighten up building in blues in some other countries. And we'll do this and speak to Barbados. We'll do this here. We do this in Grenada, but also in all other islands in the Eastern Caribbean, given that from here we cover all the countries and territories from the Eastern Caribbean.
And of course, we can all appreciate that the UN was put together in the purpose of keeping mankind together, unifying us. You hinted to the objective, your Millennium Goals. There's always a conversation of the Millennium Goals, and while the Millennium Goals, they're on track, we almost sitting that COVID-19 has punctuated and realigned a lot of things. How do we juxtaposition the Millennium Goals as we work towards them, the UN in conjunction with all nations around the world, and now having to put COVID-19 into the spin, delivering for the region as one? How does that agenda work going forward?
Yes, and that's an excellent question, Joseph. Actually, that's absolutely critical that we look forward the post-crisis situation, if ever there will be soon a post-COVID situation. So we have to look at how to recover from the socio-economic impact that has been very strong in this part of the world, as you know. But we're also still very concerned of the current spike of still COVID cases and the low vaccination rates, because this is the only weapon. And that's why the UN comes as one to offer support to countries, not only to recover from the heavy socio-economic impact, but how to counter vaccine hesitancy, how to roll out better vaccine campaigns. And I really want to see this opportunity of your question to invite each and every individual above 12 years old or 18 years old, depending on the countries, to take the vaccines, because that's really our only weapon to go back to a sort of sense of normalcy nowadays. So it's important to make sure, that we look at shared prosperity and economic resilience with a view to diversify economy, to build resilient growth, to rely further on blue economy, for example, and that's an important area that we look forward too, but also that we build resilience of the people. This is all about making people less vulnerable, especially people at risk, like women, girls, young people that have lost jobs, and other vulnerable segments of the society, so health, education, but also strengthening social protection systems, and that's one of the area of work that we're trying to roll out as one UN system in Grenada. And finally, resilience to climate change, adaptation to climate change. You mentioned COP26, I think, in your introduction. That's something that is critical. In a matter of a few days, there will be another round of negotiations. And at the same time, we have to find ways to efficiently adapt to the impact of climate change. We talk about hurricane, sea level rise, the impact of global warming, and overall, we are off track. We are off track to achieve those global targets of reducing emissions to 1.5 degrees. We are also, the world is also off track to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So we need to accelerate progress. We need to make efforts at the global level to reach consensus, but we also need to accelerate progress in each and every country. And that's our role as UN system, to support the national authorities, to support the government, to help them build capacities, to be a convening power, working with civil society, with the private sector, so that the right investments are done, and most importantly, to be inclusive. And I think we have great examples of this type of initiative and approach in Grenada, such as, for example, with the Spotlight Initiative, working to reduce violence against women and girls, but also how to put forward blue economy, so that we have an opportunity to increase economic growth in the region, create more jobs by relying more on what we call a big ocean state in the end. And on the resources that the ocean has to offer, and there are a lot of things like the aquasculpture park that exists in Grenada, as many others. So we are all mobilized. The UN is fully committed to make sure that we reduce this impact, but also we recover better. We recover also greener, stronger, and I would say bluer in the case of seas.
Indeed, I must say, well done. The Spotlight Initiative is one that has taken root, and you will see the impact that it's had on transitioning and changing the lives of women, young girls, and young men within our society. But DJ, you'd have to appreciate, as we hinted on COP26, that is just a matter of literally we are days away, hours and days away. The question of emission, global emission, and the argument has always been made is that the emissions for the Caribbean, smaller developing countries, the conversation about cutting emissions, that conversation is left up and should be piloted by the bigger countries. Very often you see there's hesitancy. Some cases there might be a formal agreement too, but delivering on it sometimes doesn't really fall through. And then you have the impact of climate change, and us here in the region, you're seeing increasing sea level rise, and the impact of climate change is being felt more and more by Grenada and other small island developing states. As we look forward to COP26, what can we, as Grenada and the rest of the region, as the UN resident coordinator, what position is being taken so as to ensure that the continued support, and not in a timely manner, so as to give the assurance that, listen, the bigger countries, they understand the challenge that smaller countries face, and that they are committed to the survivability of Grenada and the rest of the region?
Yes, and I think everyone understands the challenge now. There is in general, no more doubt about the endogenous impact or source of climate change and the impact it has in many countries, should it be developed or developing countries. We see it day after day. So it's about making courageous decisions. And there have been a very courageous decision with the agreement referred to as the Paris Agreement in 2015, which in particular set the target of keeping the global emission below 1.5 degrees. I must say that we are not on track as well. because it implies, as you said, reducing global emissions, especially from those main polluter countries, I would say, which are the most industrialized countries. But I have observed also that in the Caribbean, countries are leading by examples, and they're doing their part, even though the contribution to the global emission are negligible. So in this COP26, we do expect renewed commitment to really reduce global emissions, especially by 2030, phasing out from coal, for example, with very concrete actions in the next 4 to 5 years, because it has to mean something to the people. It has to be visible and understood. We also have set a target of $100 billion of climate finance, so that precisely those countries, like SEEDS, like the Caribbean, can have access to this climate finance to invest in adaptation. We know that sea is going to rise. We know that there will be more extreme weather events. So it's important to adapt, to make sure that houses and roofs are more resilient to hurricane, to make sure that coastal management is effective, even some infrastructure that have to be built around the coast or retrofitting of buildings, for example. That's the way we have to handle, I would say, the climate emergency in countries that are going to suffer more of the consequences in the coming, I'm not talking even about decades, I'm talking about the coming days. So that's our role as UN system here, to help countries to identify those initiatives, to access climate finance, to provide more access to funding, and most importantly, to bridge the capacity gap. So to work with the national authorities, with the private sector, to invest. And I mentioned, for example, the work we do on the blue economy, but there are so many other initiatives to precisely implement projects related to climate change adaptations. And that will be part of our next 5-year plan for the overall Caribbean, and what we call the UN system country implementation plan, that is going to be very concrete and bring together the tailored support that we provide to Grenada. We have already signed this with Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, and we look forward for a new one for the next 2 years that will be very specific, very tailored to address national priorities in climate change adaptation. You mentioned Spotlight, to make sure that everyone is treated equally without any sort of discrimination. And Grenada is a country that has done a lot of great progress in this area. But I can keep talking about so many other initiatives that really passion us. And of course, the COVID-19 recovery is one of those. But I would like to talk about youth, Joseph, if we have 1 more minute.
Sure, that's fine. What can we see? Anything specific that we can talk about? Go ahead.
Yes, because we see that we need to mobilize more and more youth voices, but not only to hear what they say and that's it, you see. We're talking about building the future, making now decisions that will have an important impact for the future. So I really call on youth to take ownership of their futures, to engage in decision making. And that's why we also need more inclusive governance, to be involved with the UN, of course, and that's why we have created an advisory group with a group of young, bright people from the Eastern Caribbean to tell us how we should do things, how we are not rightly doing things. And that should be the same in each and every country. The Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, was in Barbados not so long ago, and he made some interesting statements. He said that our generation has failed to make the right decision to prepare the future. So we don't want this new generation to fail either. So we have heard them so many times. They want more fairness. They want to fight discrimination. They want a sustainable future. They want to protect the assets for their children or their grandchildren. They want climate action now. They want courageous decisions, not in 20 years. So I really call on them to step up, to make their voices heard, including during those climate negotiations, because that's how also we can bend the curve and make sure that the right decisions are being made. So they can count on us, as Grenada as a country can count on the UN to support them and to make sure that multilateralisms and international organizations truly work for the people.
As part of that visit by the UN Secretary General, there was the launch of the UN's Common Agenda. Tell me, Didier, how does that blueprint, how will it impact the way the UN does business and change the lives of the most vulnerable? And we're just talking about young people, sustainability, sustaining the future. How does that blueprint fall in line?
Yes. Yeah, and thank you for bringing this. Because, we have the Sustainable Development Goals until 2030, and our common agenda is an agenda to reinvigorate multilateralism. So I just mentioned, solidarity is the only way forward in this time of successive crises, and we need more of working together. So it's about thinking big for the next 25 years to reshape foundation for the future we want for the international community to be able to address some of the biggest challenges of our time. And that also means how to accelerate progress towards the SDG for the next 9 years to come. So the member states within the UN have identified 12 areas of actions. I will not go through each and every one of them, but for example, leaving no one behind. Because this is really what it is about. We cannot have just a small segment of the society that benefits from prosperity and a larger part of the society that doesn't. So we need a world that is more fair and that works for everyone. We need to protect our planet. We need to promote peace and prevent all sort of violence, place women and girls at the center. And all what I mentioned here are some of those 12 areas of actions. Improve digital cooperation, that's so crucial in small island developing states. Integration depends also on connectivity and digital economy and digital cooperation. And finally, another one that is extremely important for the Caribbean, having very limited fiscal space and a huge degree of debt, even though Grenada is a country that is doing better than many others. It's about ensuring sustainable financing, how to be able to realize the right investment to adapt to climate change, but also to protect the people and to give a chance for new generation to have the right education, for example. So, and I already mentioned about youth, about listening to and work with youth, definitely is one of those important areas of this common agenda. So the idea of the Secretary General is to create this momentum and to work to create a new sort of global and moral leadership that the world needs nowadays.
I know you have to run up, Didier, but this one, if there is one message of assurance that you can give to governments and other regional leaders and the people of the region on a whole, what would that message be? What would that assurance be as it relates to the MUN at this position?
Sure. What we observe overall, and that's very encouraging, is that, the Caribbean, Grenada, are on the path of sustainability with ambitious, courageous targets also that have been set by each and all and every of those countries. And what I want to say is that the United Nations is there to remain your partner. We're committed to support those ambitious goals. We're there to advocate with you for the people and for the priorities of small island developing states. And you can count on us. The UN is there to work for the people, and that's really our commitment, and that's why we have also established this year an extension of my office in Grenada to precisely have a better impact, be more efficient, and to respond precisely to your day-to-day needs.
Thank you, Didier. All the best to you. Didier Trebucq, the UN Resident Coordinator. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to having more discourse of this level as time progresses. All the best to you. You have yourself a wonderful day, Didier.
Thank you. You too, Joseph. Bye-bye.
Take care. 22 minutes on to the hour of 8 o'clock in the morning time. Waiting in the wings is the under-20 coach as we move from matters from the UN to matters closer to home, football. Quick commercial break, Master Control, and we'll be right back right here on Classic and GBN Television in the morning. 22 minutes, 21 actually, right now. 21 minutes onto the hour of 8 o'clock.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform? Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Once upon a time, we shopped at Wonderland, then Neverland. But we're all grown up now and no longer believe in fairy tales. So now we just shop at Shoes R Us. At Shoes R Us, we stock the latest in shoes, tops, and jeans for the fashion-conscious lady. We also carry colognes and much, much more. And for the modern trendy male, we have the latest brand name shoes and sneakers, Converse, Reebok, Nike, K-Swiss, Puma, and much more. So check us out at our two convenient locations, Melville Street in St. George and Ben Jones Street in Granville. At Shoes R Us, we say, come shop with us.
Store foods safely in the event of an emergency or disaster. Check expiry dates and store items that are closer to expiration at the front of the cupboard. Protect opened packages of dried items from pests and losing freshness by placing them in containers with lids. Always keep food covered and stored away from cleaning items. A message from the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council in collaboration with the Ministry of Health with support from the Pan American Health Organization.
We're keeping our eyes on the clock. It's just about 19 minutes onto the hour, and I'm just getting ready to say good morning to the boys under 20 and senior men's coach as Michael Findlay. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well.
Let's talk football. Football is always an exciting conversation. I know COVID has put a bit of a damper on what's been happening around the league, not just here at home, but across the region. But we know that the nationals, the men under 20 and the senior teams, they have a number of engagements in the upcoming days, weeks, and months ahead. Let's talk about football. What's on the agenda for men's football?
Well, first, thanks very much for having me on. Much appreciated, and my best wishes to everybody in these difficult times. I think it's a statement of our ability to deal with challenges that we come through this, and football is no different. We've come across an enormous amount of hurdles to get to where we are, but we will overcome. In terms of the programming, we're here in Grenada, preparing for the under 20 first round qualifiers that are coming up in November in the Dominican Republic. So we have a group of 26 players here in pre-camp to do some final assessments, obviously some training and game modeling on how we want to play, and then build towards departing on the 29th to the DR with a group of 20 players to represent Grenada. This is really an essential part of our overall strategic plan technically at the GFA, where we are doing our due diligence in evaluating our youth in a very, as I say, strategic manner in getting a better idea of what our future will look like from our Grenadian-based players under the age of 20.
Let's talk about the preparation, how much of an impact COVID-19 has had on the build-up for both the under-20 and the senior men's team.
Yeah, I mean, it's affected our program a great deal. Certainly our senior men's team, when we entered our first game against El Salvador last March, I met half of the team in the hotel lobby, 48 hours before the game. So it's not easy, but I have to say, look, it's a reality, and you need to deal with realities. I've always used football as an analogy for all of my decisions, and I try to communicate that through my staff and players that look, it is something we have to deal with, and so now we plan on dealing with it the best way we can. And I think a great credit goes out to a lot of different people throughout the region, through CONCACAF, specifically the GFA, and how the GFA and its board of directors, president, staff, everyone dealt with those scenarios. And we now come to the U20 group, and you have the same sort of situations. We had a a very specific plan coming into this, which has been somewhat derailed due to COVID and the realities of that, lockdowns, not being able to participate in sport, all those types of things. But again, I give credit to the GFA and our staff that we've been able to at least get to this point. Great leadership from the Ministry of Health in terms of putting us in a position that we could do this under the guidelines that they provide. And we're happy to follow those, obviously, for the overall health and safety of our players and staff and people who are around us. So it's been challenging, but we're here and we have to deal with it. And that's what we're going to do. So day by day, session by session, relationship by relationship, we're going to build the best possible group to represent Grenada in November.
Let's talk about, while we get ready for those international encounters, let's talk, Michael, about the state of football, the current state of football on the island. Grenada, believe it or not, has a rich tradition of football from the period of the 80s, and a lot has happened as the man at the helm. Let's talk about the plan to take Grenada to the next level, and if we could hint about some of the strategic implementations that there would be so as to ensure on those deliverables that Grenada at least takes its mark, regain its status regionally and internationally. What is the plan?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you mentioned the great tradition of football within Grenada, and when I was approached earlier, it became a very attractive opportunity based on not just the challenge of it, but what the results could bring to football, on a regional scale and an international scale. So first and foremost, and again, I applaud the president and the exco of the GFA, because they've taken on the idea that they need to be strategic, but most importantly, we need to have a long-term plan. The reality of CONCACAF and the reality of a large number of our member associations within CONCACAF, specifically in the Caribbean Union, is it has been very, what I call, event-oriented. You go from game to game to game, and you prep, and you only think towards the end of that 90 minutes. And my thought, first and foremost, and which was shared by the GFA, is we need to have a longer-term view on what we're doing, and we need to raise the standards across the board. And specifically speaking towards everybody's thoughts within the GFA and within the football family of Grenada, if we are not thinking specifically about the player first, that is the problem that we will have moving forward. All our decisions must be geared to the player first. And so that's the first thought around it. The second thought is to create both a domestic and an international program, because as you know, at the senior level, a large amount of our players who are professionals play outside of Grenada, playing in places like the United Kingdom and the United States, and potentially other places in the future. So we have to have sort of two bandwidths of activity. We have to continue to be assessing and developing those players who are active in their professional club environment. But we also have to focus on our domestic-based players here in Grenada. And that comes down to our youth development program, and it comes down to our league program, and getting to a point where we have a standard-based league that we can count on. And that's one of the greatest challenges for the GFA and for our member clubs, is being able to follow the lead and put ourselves in a better position right across the board, specifically in coach development and specifically in our competitions model. As it relates to how we then take that to the next level, it's all about our annual plan. In 2022, we are still a member of Nations League A, so we have some very critical games coming up in June against the forces of CONCACAF. We are extremely lucky to have qualified for the 2021 Gold Cup, which is a great stepping stone to expanding our program off field. We have had some enormous growth in our off-field support system, which then benefits the players. And prior to those Nation League games, we've got 2 FIFA windows that we will use to prepare for those games and do a better assessment of what we've got, because right now we're at the bottom of the cycle. The next cycle we're looking at is 2022 on to 2026, where the World Cup will be hosted within the CONCACAF region. So this is the time This is the time that we have to do things like we're doing now, under 20 assessments participation. We have to do more recognized activities in the FIFA window. We have to focus on our standard-based league activity and give opportunities to players. We need to focus on our coach development program so those players are being treated accordingly. And all around that is all the other ideas of football support. So long-winded, but that gives you an idea.
Where does the grassroots program come into all of this?
Well, grassroots is obviously one of the most important parts of football. I've always said, though, you can't have the top without the bottom, right? But also, you can't have the bottom without the top. We need players in Grenada, male and female, to be able to aspire to be the next player. You know, I take an example from a domestic point of view. When we played in the Gold Cup this year, we played Panama and we scored our only goal in that tournament, unfortunately. But the fact is that we did score, and that goal was scored by Romar Frank, who's a domestic-based Grenadian player. And I want Grenadians to look at someone like Romar Frank and say, you know what, I want to be the next one. Players who are coming in, Oliver Norburn, for example, who is naturalized and plays at Peterborough in the UK. I want players to look at him and say, I want to be him, you know, and the same goes for the female program. Aspirations, but they need to be able to emulate them. So they need to see them. So we need to play more. But in terms of grassroots, it's all about play. It's all about early love of the game. It's all about being able to actively participate in a game that the Globe loves. And that comes through good, strong organization. Jerry Alexis, our TD, has got great plans and continues to support our grassroots efforts across the island. And we need commitment and buy-in.
Based on your experience, Michael, I know there is that continuous drive from FIFA, more football. There has been a drive by the local FA to take a more business-oriented approach by the clubs, adopt a more business-oriented approach by the clubs to see football in terms of their structure and their programs. How key do you see those efforts as the head coach involved in taking football forward? How key is those components of taking football forward to making sure that they get it right at the club level?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. You know, I've come from programming in Canada, where very similarly, many years ago, we established a strategic plan and objectives to meet. And along the way, specifically in the beginning, we met a great amount of resistance because people play football for a number of different reasons. But one of the reasons that is not the most attractive reason is self-interest. And as you know, football is played by 11 people supported by many others. And so the same should be said about what we do with our structure of football. This should be a family activity. And I understand it's competitive and you play the game to win. We always do, unless you're playing in that, you know, grassroots youth level. But I understand that. But most importantly, and what the GFA has set out and is trying to do is establish a unified position that we focus on the player, which means your club focuses on the player, your administration focuses on the player. How do we do the best job possible to raise that level of the game? This is, you're entering that participation arena, which is about winning, as I said, but it's also about delivering the best possible program, which comes from a collective belief. And so if I was going to say one thing to the club structure in Grenada is coming together and delivering on this standard-based league idea, which is coaching standards, game day standards, venues, the ability to unify the game model amongst all of the clubs. So everyone's working in the same direction. And that's not easy, believe me. But there is success shown globally. Certainly from my previous encounters, we saw success of what we did early days in Canada, and you're seeing those benefits now. And I think it's got to have the same focus here in Grenada.
You come from a background where the football is much more structured. You hinted, Michael, about the women's development, and I know that's not your direct forte, but certainly I'm assuming, given that you're in the sport, it's important that both women's football and men's football, they grow together, and efforts must be placed to ensure that, so that one doesn't leave the other one, that it's possible that the women's league could feed off of the success and the growth of the men, and vice versa?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the reality is we all play with a round ball. You know, we all play in the same pitch. We all play with 11 people. So the growth of female football, specifically in this region, and I will give a lot of credit to CONCACAF and their efforts right now in trying to focus on the female development within the region, because it's very difficult. You know, there's a number of countries in the world who have been leaders in female development and female programming, and they will continue to do that. But it's now time for other countries, and specifically talking about our region, is to take advantage of what's on offer from CONCACAF and grow. No doubt, at the end of the day, we all play, as I say, the same game. So we all want to be able to participate. We all want to benefit from that participation, and we all want to carve out different opportunities. For example, on the female side, there's a great opportunity from a scholastic point of view and an education point of view. That football can be a vehicle to change, a vehicle to grow, a vehicle to educate and experience other sectors of our society, not just here in Grenada, but anywhere else. So why not use that as a vehicle to do so? And I think that's the goal of the GFA and the female program. It's in its infancy. It comes with its challenges, but we're not alone with that. And we have to work in conjunction as a football association. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
We need to wrap it just a bit, Michael. There've always been the applause, the accolades that in Grenada there is interest, there's talent, passion for the game has always been rich. Have you been able to appreciate what you get on the ground, especially at the under 20 level, which sets the platform for transition to the senior team? What's happening there? You satisfied that there's a hunger to win, to take the game forward at that level?
Yeah, I am. My experience and you know, I'm very lucky, and I was in a meeting with the players last night, and I'm very lucky to be able to have garnered a Grenadian-based staff, and this staff has had the opportunity to play internationally for Grenada. So when I go back to that emulation and that ability to want to be the next one, they bring a great amount of experience to educate these players on what the possibilities are. And certainly when I first came on island back in January and watched and observed, what I saw was this energy and this passion for wanting to be around the ball and for wanting to compete, right? And that was very obvious, and it was told to me by the staff that that's the type of footballer we have. And now what we have to do is we have to organize their structure and to be able to have that passion come out in a very dynamic, but a very well thought out and implemented plan. So we need to leverage that interest and that passion. And certainly at the U20 level, and what I've witnessed here now in the discussions that I've had, they want success. They want to be the next. Because I think it is a changing time in Grenadian football in the sense that we're bringing more structure, programming, standards around the game. There's interest has always been there. The talent has always been there. Now it's up to us to sort of organize and mine that talent and try and get them to the next level. And this doesn't happen overnight, but you can't do it with an ongoing passion and interest. And definitely that is obvious when we go to training and when we play games.
Thank you. We have to leave the discussion here for now. Michael Findlay, the U20 and senior men's coach here at home. Thanks, and wishing you all the best. And certainly as you go closer to those regional and international encounters, I'm assuming that we're going to have the occasion to update us on the progress and preparation of the team.
Absolutely. Anytime. And it's a real pleasure to be able to speak football to the community and know that there is a great amount of people that want to do the best for not just Grenadian football, but sport in general on the island. So thanks very much, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks a lot, Michael. All the best to you. You have yourself a great day. 2 minutes on to the hour of 8 o'clock. We're getting ready to wrap on the program this morning. Remind you at the top of the hour, we'll join the BBC for a bulletin of news. The top of the at 9 o'clock, we go back to we join you in television for To the Point. So that's where we leave it for now, folks. Peace and love. JC loves you. Continue to live life and love life. Treat each day. Today, Thursday, the 22nd, as though it's your last day. You live and you learn, and you continue to enjoy be part of an experience that allows you to be the next best version of yourself as we find our purpose and we fulfill it. Have a great day.